What's going on, y'all? This is Vyllyn reporting from Black Cloud HQ. And I want y'all to gather around the campfire because I got a little story to tell y'all today. So we have a rule here at Black Cloud, which is basically that if your car is driving fine, don't swap it, okay? Now, I know some of y'all don't like to hear this, but there's a good reason why we have this rule. And that is because too many times we've had friends or family or whoever who gets a wild hair up their ass and wants to swap a perfectly good engine for something cool, new, and sexy. And inevitably what happens is that, you know, they're gathering parts, they pull out the old engine, and months go by or longer, and they basically could have been driving their car the whole time, and instead now they just have their project sitting in the shop doing little to nothing. And unfortunately, that just seems to be how it goes with life. People got grand plans that just never quite seem to get there or take way longer than expected. So I'm gonna tell you a little cautionary tale today coming from myself. So not gonna put anyone else on blast but me. So basically what happens is 2 years ago, I was driving around my X3 Cressida. I was happy with it. I'd given it a fresh paint job. Everything was gravy. Until, of course, one day something happens, boom, blow a head gasket. So at that point, I'm like, well, you know, hey, I gotta do something with this engine anyways. Hey, now's a good time maybe to swap it. So I got this plan, you know, maybe I'm gonna do a 2J or something like that. So I go ahead and pull the engine and then start shopping around for 2Js. Within maybe a few more months, we end up closing on our building, and which means now we gotta go through the whole process of doing that, moving out of the old place, and you know, one thing leads to another, and as you can guess, there was a poor, sad, lonely, so sad and lonely Cressida sitting in our garage with no engine in it. So I finally got off my ass and decided to do something about that, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that today. But first of all, I wanna show you sad and lonely right here. Unfortunately, she was a beautiful car, she was driving great, and one little head gasket, and all of a sudden, now she's been down for 2 years. So, in retrospect, if I was smart, I probably would have just fixed the head gasket and been driving this thing for the last 2 years. But, of course, I had grand plans that just didn't come to fruition, and she's been sitting ever since. Now, that being said, what's done is done, so hey, might as well do something cool with it, right? So for a while, I was thinking about doing a 2J swap. I was even looking around for engines and things like that. Then I thought, maybe I wanted to do a LS because it was just gonna be a daily driver sort of car. I wanted my wife to be able to drive it, nice and, you know, turnkey, start, everything like that. But then I thought, you know, my plan for this car really was something with a little bit of class. And to be honest with you, I kind of thought there was nothing better than maybe doing something like, I don't know, let's say a triple Weber setup on an inline 6. Might not be a bad thing to do. So there's still a lot of unknowns with that kind of setup, and it's something I'm gonna have to just work through, but let me just show you where I'm at right now. So as you can see, I've basically disassembled the whole engine. I'm gonna be doing more or less a complete refresh on it. I'm gonna pretty it up, you know, and then like I said, maybe a triple carb setup, maybe some nice sort of custom header setup. You know, that part is still to be seen, and we'll see what happens when we get there. All right, so I put the engine back in the Cressida to take some measurements now, see if I can fit in the manifold with the triple carb setup, or see if I'm gonna have to go another route. Let's hope this works out.
What is going on, Scott? What are you scratching on?
Sneaking up on me, eh? Nah, just getting this intake ready, man. Just cleaning out the last little bits of it. I already kind of resealed all the closeouts and things like that, so just got to paint it up and then throw this thing back on there. That's the plan.
And it's looking a whole lot cleaner.
Yeah.
It was looking crazier before.
Yeah, that's pretty nasty, but you know, that's what happens when you don't clean stuff for 40 years. So
yeah, that's gonna work much better.
Yep.
And look at this silver guy over here.
Yeah, so that's almost done as well. Just a little bit more to do on it, but it's pretty damn close. So I'm hoping this weekend be potentially putting this thing back in the bay. So
it's the conch shell that powers it all. Roll around with no issues, and everyone can just drive happy. Hell yeah.
That's all we ask. So we got the 4M pretty cleaned up, it's painted, it's looking pretty. Let me give you all a little showcase of what it's looking like right now. Okay, so we got one issue that I gotta figure out exactly how I'm gonna deal with, but I don't think it's anything we can't handle. Basically, if you see here, we got this power steering pump here, and you'll notice that there's an empty spot right here. Now, usually, we got this nice air pump that sits right here. And that's really just for emissions purposes, so we don't really need it. But without it, we got an issue, which is that the belt that goes on the power steering pump from here down to here will actually end up hitting the water pump. So that's no bueno. But what I'm thinking we can do is if I can relocate this power steering pump to where the air pump was, that looks like it's going to clear that water pump no problem. Now the only other thing we got to check is on the rear side where the hoses go in to the pump. Got to make sure that clears my manifold right there. And I think it's going to be fine, but we're going to have to mock it up to see for sure. Additionally, this mounting hole I checked is not quite big enough for the bolts that go into the power steering pump. So I'm gonna have to basically drill this out just a hair, just so the bolt can get all the way through and then adjust as necessary. And then on this side, we're gonna have to basically make a bracket to attach to the mounting points on the water pump, or on the power steering pump over here. So that's the plan. Let's have a go at it and see what happens. Okay, so now you can see, got it kind of mocked up where I want it. And now we got plenty of clearance over here, so it's not gonna hit the water pump. Same thing on this side. no problems. So I think this was the right call. Now all we got to do is to finalize it up top here. You see we basically need a bracket connecting this mounting point here to the original air pump mounting point here, and then same thing on this side to here. So that shouldn't be too bad. I think I can fab those up fairly quickly and get this thing hopefully back in the bay very, very soon. So let's do it. We got our brackets all fabbed up. Let's take a look. I used some pretty thick metal, so those should be very solid. Now all I gotta do is paint them, bolt everything up, and that should be done, other than getting a shorter belt now that we've relocated that steering pump. So looking good. All right, the engine is reassembled. Time to put her back in her home.